You're listening to the Rebel Scum podcast.
You are always scum. Rebel Scum.
From odds making to list rankings, we've got you covered. And don't forget to join us on Patreon for early access and exclusive content. Here are your hosts, Brock
Star Wars
and
is
James.
dead. It's New Year's Eve.
Can't believe you're just gonna start the show like that.
Should I not?
You can do whatever you want.
We're
You're an
gonna-
adult.
We're doing this for 4 years. We still don't know how to start a podcast. Unleash. Today it's the last thing that we're doing of 2020. Brock's here. Hi, Brock.
Hey.
Andrew's here. Hi, Andrew. We're all dressed
Hello.
like
We're a barbershop trio now. Surprise!
Yay!
It took us 4 years to build up to it, but
We got the goods. We're just gonna talk about the year that was. The 2020 is on its way out the door, and most people want to kick it to the curb and toss it in the garbage because it was kind of an awful year for many of people in a lot of varying ways. But we're gonna talk about it in the Star Wars aspect of the year, because when the year started, when January 1st rolled around last year. By the way, ranking Star Wars tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern time, but when January 1st rolled around last year, all we had to, Rise of Skywalker was done. The movies were done for the foreseeable future. All we had left to hope for was Mandalorian Season 2. That was it. There was nothing else going on. And then as time went on, we learned that Taika Waititi would be developing a Star Wars movie. And then, of course, COVID-19 hit. The coronavirus came in like a wrecking ball and just put everything on hold. And Star Wars was kind of on hold, but we had the promise of Mandalorian coming out in October. And of course, we got the Mandalorian and we got so much more. But Brock, take us through your year of Star Wars leading up to Mandalorian and all the announcements that we got.
I mean, it was a pretty good year because we did a lot of this podcast.
Yes.
Being trapped inside makes you really want to be creative. Trying to remember. Yeah, because it's like, remember when lockdown began and we're just like, oh, everything's delayed now. It's like, put out Mandalorian earlier. Like we had this ability to tell them to do anything. But, it was because we were locked inside. I feel like I revisited a lot of stuff. I rewatched Clone Wars. I believe that was this year. I definitely rewatched Rebels, and I rewatched, I think, all the movies. So it was a good time to just remember how great Star Wars was.
I actually completely forgot, because this year has been so long, that Clone Wars actually began the year. We actually did get to begin
yes.
Clone Wars, which was actually way more exciting than I am leading it on to believe. But Andrew, what about you?
yeah, I keep forgetting about Clone Wars too, and that gave us 12 lovely weeks. I think it was 12 weeks of good stuff. So
but it
thank
feels
you,
like
Clone
it was
Wars.
6 years ago.
It does, and it feels like it was all at once.
Yes.
It feels like we binged it, but we didn't. But off the top of the show, you left out an important thing. When we went into 2020, it wasn't just Mandalorian Season 2 that we were looking forward to. It was a little thing called High Republic that we thought we would get halfway through the year. And we didn't get that. And finding out that was delayed was a real bummer, because that to me was like, I knew this year was just going to be like 8 episodes of Mandalorian and then some books. Like that was all I kind of had on. And the books were really exciting to me. And the fact that we have to wait a whole other 6 months for those, it became like a big, just another drop in the bucket of just low morale. And as we get closer and closer to January, I'm just on pins and needles. I cannot get my teeth into the High Republic fast enough. I want it.
I can't wait for you not to like it.
I know, right? It sucks. There's too much math. What's going on? But the 2020 landscape was a very different landscape than, like, if you look at any year when they had an episodic movie come out, and look at just the barrage of stuff we got in each of those 3 years. Compared to those 3 years, 2020 was a wasteland.
Yeah.
It was nothing. And we had this conversation earlier today, James, where we were talking about how 2019 and 2020 merchandising was asleep at the wheel. What did they give us in terms of merchandising? And I think that's probably the next step of this episode, is to be like, what else came out in terms of just stuff with Star Wars on it, right? Like what was there? Brock, what did you buy this year with the Star Wars name on it?
Well, this isn't technically a 2020 release, but I believe I got Fallen Order in 2020, because I think I waited till at least Boxing Day to buy it. So I guess it's late December. But I definitely didn't finish the whole game till 2020. I was just thinking the same thing. When did the Disney's The Gallery come out for the first season?
May 4th.
So that was one thing. I guess we did talk a lot.
But we didn't know about that until I think it was like May 2nd. It was like they just kind of like dropped it on us.
Yeah.
It was like,
it like May the 4th sort of like surprise drop or something along those lines?
It was a surprise, but I think they announced it like a little bit beforehand, but it wasn't on the radar at all. Like no one knew it was coming.
Yeah.
No, and I think the only big like merchandise release on May the 4th was that Queen's Peril book. And they were going to do the Empire Strikes Back from a certain point of view that month, because that was the anniversary month, and then that got delayed till like October. So even the May the 4th stuff was pretty scant. It was the gallery, it was the finale of Clone Wars, and then it was that Queen book.
Yeah, you're right. Going back to what you asked, Andrew, I mean, I disagree with you guys a lot on this. Like the action figures seem to have been dried up. Like there's not really a lot of figures for Rise of Skywalker, though. I think like with Black Series, you can't kind of critique at least their 6-inch, because like when that series first came out, like it was a matter of exclusivity, because they're not selling to kids, because no parent's going to buy a $30 action figure. They're for people like us, collectors. So like the scarcity was a thing, and it's just a matter of like that's the hunt. You have to go and get it. But being in Canada, it's exceptionally hard because you have to be on the ball. And Andrew, you're a Black Series collector, so for it to be difficult for you, it's like that's saying a lot.
It's a double-edged sword, right? Because I get to save my money. Because you're right, there's no such thing as a Black Series toy that costs less than $30. So I love when I walk into a store that doesn't have a Black Series I want. I'm bummed, but I'm also like, yay, I'm saving $30. But the gulf between when America gets those toys and when Canada gets those toys is wider than that gulf on Starkiller Base after that duel. And I feel bad for people who are like hardcore collectors who, I shouldn't say feel bad, because they're buying toys. If they have that much money, they're fine. But I mean, I feel bad for people who are like, the Black Series is kind of like their thing, and they live here, because it's like, we still don't have Ezra. You can get Ezra on Amazon, sure, but Amazon doesn't count. If I can't walk into a comic store or a Walmart or something and find an Ezra, and that's what, a 3-year-old figure, something's wrong.
It's weird, because it's like you can go to a comic book store or like an EB, which is GameStop for our American followers, and know roughly when those figures are going to drop, because they will get them more or less at those times. But the places like Walmart that sells them on bulk, which is basically our only option in Canada I can think of, because where else would you buy that? It's like you don't know when you're going to get the thing. You have no clue when they're going to get it, because I have seen stuff there, but it's like it's few and far between. It's always overloaded with old figures. Like it's just like, how long did you see one of the first Black Series Rays at a Walmart or like
in Canada?
Forever, right?
Walmart's in Canada is the place to go to if you want paper towels, chocolate bars, and Jyn Erso action figures.
Jyn Erso,
that's where you go.
Yeah.
I got this one at Walmart.
But like, it's so confusing. Like I find living in Mississauga, it's like, I'm not saying there isn't collectors in every single city, but like, because James lives in a smaller market, like he's possibly able to get more things. I don't know. I wasn't hunting for those figures, so I have no idea. I do know, like, when I'm at Walmart, I always peruse those toy aisles, and then the one of the better Walmarts in Mississauga have been like empty for weeks because I guess Christmas, right? So like a panic. So I don't know. It's you can kind of question is like how many 10-year-old kids that like Star Wars got like a $30 action figure this year. I don't know.
I hope not, man, because those break really fast.
Oh yeah.
My friend Robin, he's really artistic guy, and he loves like taking action figures and like painting their clothes and adding different things and like photographing them in really unique ways, so it looks like he'll build a set.
Yeah.
Like that little sitcom I did on my YouTube channel, he makes that look like garbage. Like he builds a set. So he messaged me and he's like, I'm getting obsessed with the Black series and I want to get more. And he's like, show me the pictures of the ones you have. And he's like, do you ever play with them? Do you ever do this or that? And I'm like, no, dude, I'm too scared. They're $30. I just look at them and go like this and be like, yay, they're so pretty. I'm too afraid to do little stuff with them. That's what the 3 3/4 inches are for. Those ones can take a bit more damage because if, Poe's arm falls off, or Rey's lightsaber snaps in half, which, God, that happens so many times to me with the action figures from Attack of the Clones, then at least it's not as big a punch in my gut and in my wallet's gut. But seriously, Count Dooku Black Series, Plo Koon Black Series, where are you? Where's that Ewok? Where's that Ewok Hasbro promised us 3 years ago?
Tebow?
I've seen people owning them, but none of them in this country. You're right. All that happened, and Gallery was a great show, and we talked about it yesterday on the podcast that we got the second season, if that's what it was. I don't even know. But it's great. It's great behind the scenes. You get to take a look at how they make it. And then October hit, Mandalorian season 2 begins. We get Cobb Vanth in live action, who is from the Aftermath books. We got Frog Lady, Andrew's new crush. And then we got Bo-Katan coming up. And then for Bo-Katan, we got Ahsoka Tano. And then after Ahsoka Tano, we got the announcement of of 10 shows and 2 movies, one by Patty Jenkins, one by Taika Waititi. Brock, they'll walk us through The Mandalorian up until that announcement.
What?
Your thoughts?
Oh, my thoughts.
Yeah.
Your thoughts and prayers.
It's exciting. I think we have become a little bit more realistic about these things. That it's just like they announce it, but until something actually gets made, I won't believe it. Mm-hmm. They're all cool ideas, and I'm like, yes, this is very, very exciting. But in a year of a pandemic, it's just like I was like, and we'll put Lando and Ahsoka. Like everybody loves Ahsoka, and then like just make something Visions, and it's anime. Yeah, kids love anime. Like it's just, it's great stuff. I want to be optimistic, but like we have to be realistic on like some things. We still talk about things that like George Lucas wanted to make and like never saw the light of day. But it's exciting, and the success of Mandalorian makes a lot of the stuff more realistic, right? Yes. So Ahsoka is definitely have like new Rangers of what am I saying? Forget Rangers of the New Republic. Boba Fett is happening, so it's like the future is bright, and it's very, very exciting to me. I can't even think what else. Like it's just in a time where we thought like we'd never see Luke again, we saw Luke again. And it wasn't like, oh, it's COVID, we have to make something crazy. He's like, no, they had this plan ahead of time. Like, so, hooray.
Yeah. I think the thing that makes Ahsoka and the Rangers show, and obviously Boba Fett, more hopeful for me is that because it's the group that made The Mandalorian, they haven't failed. They made The Mandalorian, and so I think they'll deliver on those promises. I mean, they might not be good, I don't know, but at least we'll see them. Some other stuff, I'm not sure if they'll see the light of day. Andrew, what about you?
I was really, really pleased with that little onslaught of announcements we got. And I mean, yes, we've said it so many times. Yeah, Star Wars shouldn't try to be like Marvel. It shouldn't. But that was a very Marvel-esque announcement. And there are things about Marvel that it wouldn't hurt for Star Wars to kind of get into the habit of doing. And one of those things, which is what Kathleen and company really sort of showed us in that announcement, was the idea that they've been missing this whole time was synergy. There are at least 4 shows that are connecting to each other. That's going to be a thing. Acolyte is going to connect to all these High Republic books, which themselves are a synergy machine. This is what we kind of got promised in a way in 2012. This is, or at least what we thought, like, oh, cool. It's like not so much from like we're making new movies, but from the whole announcement where they said like we're canceling out all the books and stuff because we want the EU to be this fresh new thing that we can really get behind and make everything flow better. Which, you know, love them or hate them, Legends books did not flow really well. You know, you can read the Joiner King and you can read the Truce of Bakura, and you're like, I can tell these were written by 2 different people who never even probably lived on the same planet as each other. This is the new era of Star Wars that I think we felt like we were getting once we heard about this buyout. And yeah, for 5 years, we got 5 movies that, you know, love them or hate them, they're there. For the most part, I love them, but they don't take advantage of the synergy as well as they could. Yeah, cool. Solo's got the dice hanging there, and we see Luke pick up the dice later. That's fine. But there's a level of synergy that's beyond that, and that is rewarding for fans. You know, Marvel, say what you will, they reward their fans for paying attention. And the stuff they've given us has been okay, but it hasn't been rewarding to fans. And it's definitely coming from a lot of places, especially in JJ's case, and I don't mean to rag on the guy, but where he's a cafeteria Star Wars fan. He's just picking and choosing what he likes. And you can't really be that way if you are the storyteller. If you're a fan, great, love what you love and hate what you hate. But if you're going to be paid to write the world of Star Wars and to add important pieces to the Star Wars lore, you should be a person who appreciates the Star Wars lore. If they give me a contract and be like, Andrew, I want you to write a book about American history, I'm gonna be like, great, just so you know, I hate Abe Lincoln, so I'm just going to gloss over his chapter. No, you can't be that way. And I think now we're finally getting to the point where Disney is learning, like, oh yeah, people think Hayden Christensen's pretty cool. Yeah, people like the Gungans. I guarantee you there are hundreds of people on this planet right now whose favorite character is Rose Tico, and they better not go into the future and just ignore Rose Tico. So there's got to be that idea of, yes, we can make a whole bunch of stuff, but everything you make has to be important, and it has to be important not just now, but later down the road. Storytellers down the road have to look at that and be like, okay, yeah, I'm not the hugest Beckett fan, but Beckett was a thing, so I can't disrespect that. And that's what we started seeing. That's why this announcement made me really happy.
I think it's easier to do now from their perspective than it was back when they, with the original characters, the original trilogy characters. I think they were afraid to do anything like that. And the problem with those, in my opinion, making those the Marvel-esque version is those movies were already the Avengers movies, you know. So but they weren't bringing them together, and they weren't taking them apart. We got Solo, and then Rogue One, which I kind of would have been like Ant-Man and Black Panther or something, you know. Like, I don't really know, but like they were starting from the end of it all, and I think now they have an opportunity to be like, okay, well, this is the Mandalorian, okay. Well, now we've introduced these ones, so now they have a chance to do it in that way. And Star Wars, it really lends itself to that style of storytelling because George Lucas based it off of the old serials, and it's perfect. It's perfect for what they're trying to accomplish here. And you know, we did after Last Jedi came out, we did, remember, Brock, Andrew, you were on the podcast. We did the Star Wars Renaissance podcast. We're like, this is the Renaissance era of Star Wars, and we all, you know, we're all very excited. And then the world burned down around us. and now I feel like now we're in that time. You know, now this is like the real, what we thought it was 3 years ago is really happening now, because I feel like, you know, you could love The Last Jedi all you want, you could hate it all you want. What it was trying to do, whatever the factors were, the company as a whole couldn't get over the hump of doing whatever it was doing. And now they seem to, it's not the same hump, it's a different hump, but they've gotten over the hump, and now they're able to give us a Star Wars, like you said, Andrew, that they promised us 8 years ago when they acquired Lucasfilm.
Yeah, that's what, if anything, that's what this demonstration at the investors meeting showed me, is that we're finally learning how this, not only how this jigsaw puzzle we're finally learning how this jigsaw puzzle pieces together. Not only are they learning that, but they're learning that it is in fact a jigsaw puzzle and not just a piece that they're waving around being like, look at this piece. That gives me confidence more than anything. I'm going to ask you guys a hypothetical question.
No.
Since we're talking about Star Wars in 2020, and bear with me on this because I'm going to walk us down a very hypothetical road. But you guys have heard me say before, where if it was up to me, if I was writing this, I would have made Episode 9 2 movies. I would have split it up and made it 2 movies so that that story of Palpatine coming back would have had room to breathe. If that had been the case, if I had been in charge, we would have had a delay for this Episode 10 because of COVID. We would have gotten 9 in 2019, and then we would have been like, okay, December 2020 would have been the end, and we'd still be waiting for that movie today. Does that make you guys feel like maybe in hindsight you're glad that, warts and all, you're glad that Episode 9 ended up the way it did and they didn't try anything out there or crazy?
You raise a good point, because when Mulan came out and we were like, oh, $30, but James said to me, he's like, what if it was a Star Wars film? I'm like, oh, I would have paid the money immediately. So because last podcast we were talking about Wonder Woman, and now like Wonder Woman and Tenet are the two like kind of big movies that finally did get released, and it's like, are they doing, like, Tenet is kind of considered a flop, but that's not because people couldn't see it. It was just like, it's too cerebral. And now Wonder Woman, it's getting mixed reviews because it's sort of like, I think because we were waiting so long. But ever since James said that to me when we were talking about Mulan, I'm like, yeah, what would it be like? And I agree with you with what you're saying. It's like, it's a better move because Star Wars really can't take another hit movie-wise. I mean, whatever. People criticize Star Wars till the cows come home, so it doesn't matter. But I'm very, very interested to have seen what it would have been like if a feature Star Wars film came out and we had to buy it. I would love to have seen what kind of money they would have made, because they're in the exact same position as Warner Brothers, where they have a platform to release stuff. And Mulan wasn't a huge flop, but like, it's not Star Wars and it's not a Marvel film. So I would interchange it, like, I don't know, the new Captain America movie or whatever you want to call it. Avengers. Let's go with Avengers. Or a Star Wars movie dropping at Christmas time in 2020. I would have loved to see it. But I think you're right. It's probably a good move on their part that I didn't do that. So
I think they would have held off until May. They would have been like, no, I don't think they'd do May again. I think Solo. I think they would have done next Christmas. But if we're gonna play that, look, if they're like, yeah, there's a new Star Wars movie, and it's, especially if it's a continuation, then we're just gonna put it on Disney Plus, and you got to pay your $35. I wouldn't. And they're like, $35 and you keep it forever. I don't think I would hesitate. I mean, it's more than I would like to, but I'm going to go see the movie in the theater. I'm probably going to go see it more than once. I'm probably going to spend more than $35 to see it in the theater anyway. So in that case, and I said yesterday that I wasn't going to pay. I wasn't interested in. I wasn't not going to, but I'm not interested in paying $30 for Wonder Woman because I don't know if I would have seen that in the theater to begin with. Whereas Star Wars, I know I'm going to. I know I'm going to go with Aaron. I know I'm going to go with you guys. I know I'm going to I'm going to see it more than once, and more than once with 2 tickets, 3 tickets, probably costs more than $35. Sure, it's a better experience in the theater than my house, but I'm going to watch it today. I'm going to watch it tomorrow. I'm going to watch it the day after. So I would absolutely pay it. But I think Disney would have hated every second of what they did if they had to have done that. I really do. I think and I say Disney on Lucasfilm because they're the the money makers are. So I think I think they are. I don't think they dodged a bullet or anything because it wasn't like it was anything they were ever planning on doing. But yeah, I think I'm glad there was no Star Wars this year in the theater.
I bet they wish they had a few more like Disney Plus projects done, because then they could have just rid that out all through the year. So
absolutely,
yeah, it would have been nice to have a lot of those backlogged. I remember in October 2015, my friend and I went to go see The Martian, and we were about 20 minutes into the movie when the theater's fire alarm went off, and they had to evacuate the theater. And then they, for whatever reason, they couldn't let us back in to restart the movie. So they just gave us like a ticket for a free one next time we came. And I remember my friend was bummed out and he's like, oh man, this sucks. And he's like, you look like you don't care though. And I like, this was 2 months before Force Awakens. And I said to him, honestly, I'm just happy that this happened now and not during Force Awakens, because my anticipation for that was so grand that I feel like if that fire alarm had gone off, like when Ray is like, I'm Ray, what's your name? I would have just probably done angry laps around the theater and just pulled my hair out. So the idea of like walking into Rise of Skywalker Part 1 on 2019 and, you know, ending in this like big cliffhanger and be like, okay, the end of the saga next year, that's it, we're getting to the end. And then anticipating it for so long, and then all of a sudden pandemic, and it's like, now here it's just on Disney Plus. That would have just taken all the wind out of my sails. I think I would have been, it would have been like a pretty Sophie's Choice scenario. I think I would have just been a sheep though. I would have been like, okay, Brock and James bought it and watched it. My cousin Vince bought it and watched it. I guess I'll buy it and watch it so I can at least talk to them about it. But it wouldn't be ideal, obviously. I'm so glad that didn't end up being the factor.
No, if they split up that movie, that'd be a longer story. It's just like, how good would it have been? I don't know.
First, I think the story, this is just, and like, I don't want to rag on the movie, but I think it would have been a much better story than what we got. But I'm glad we didn't end up having to get a delayed movie.
Yeah, because like those split up movies don't work a lot. Like Harry Potter, it works, but
I'm saying I continue to maintain you fix the crawl and you cut 10 minutes from the movie and it's a better movie. All around. And I say that so much that one day I will do it myself, and I would the crawl will say just
Topher Grace did it. Why aren't you doing?
I'm just lazy, and I'm not Topher Grace. I will let him do it, but I do believe that you could change the opening crawl and make it a 10-minute shorter movie. I absolutely do. But hey, we got a lot of fun Star Wars stuff coming up. Any hopes for 2021 from you guys? Obviously, Boba Fett's coming out in 2021, and Cassian Andor, I gotta believe, is coming out in 2021 because they've been shooting that for a while. Obi-Wan Kenobi is 2022. I think Mando season 3 is 2022, but we guaranteed Cassian. I shouldn't say guaranteed because we're guaranteed a lot of things this year. But Cassian Andor and Book of Boba Fett are on the plate for 2021. What are your hopes and dreams for those?
Where does Bad Batch fall into this? Is that going to come out this year?
Bad Batch is that the spring?
So that's like the next possible piece of visual content we'll get.
And that's
like,
Fennec Shand. They're really pushing Fennec.
So yeah, like I think that's our next thing, because it's like, really, if there wasn't a Bad Batch, we're not getting anything till earliest November 2021 for visual, film, or video. Like I'm excited for this High Republic. I hope it's a success, because if it does well as a book series, like it's gonna grow, right? And I think we're getting the sense that we're gonna get a video game of some sort. Like we're seeing a lot of like concept art of characters that only exist maybe in a comic, but mostly in a book. And now we get this acolyte thing. It's like, oh, so there is other plans. So I'm excited for it, and I think Andrew probably agrees with me. You're at least excited to read the Charles Soule book. So,
oh yeah, the whole High Republic thing has me really like stoked. It feels like everybody's on the same page there. Every creator, they're all on the same page, and like the release date is going to be staggered. So
Yep.
we're getting some things in January, a couple more things in February, and then like another thing in August, I think. So everything is staggered out to the point where I think if we look at everything we've said so far, we have a Star War every month of 2021, I think. Because if Bad Batch is April-ish, which I think it is, then we've got all those books and comics that are tiding us over till Bad Batch, and then we got a couple more books, and then maybe Andor. But if not, then it's only like a couple months till the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
So I think that it's going to be a much more Star Wars-y year than 2020, absolutely. And then on top of that, Disney Plus is also giving us WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, and What If all in 1 year.
Yeah, so Disney Plus will get our attention for sure this year. I'm curious though. I know it's probably just based on greed and wanting to get as much out of the market as they can, but like them delaying High Republic, in the back of my mind, I'm like, there's got to be something really good. There's got to be something. There's got to be a reason to delay it besides just money, because it's like for a time where we're just sitting at home not doing anything. Yeah. Releasing books makes the most sense. So I'm like, there's got to be something, because they've gone out of their way to keep us hyped, I think, in my opinion. But
yeah, I still don't understand how COVID could have affected the High Republic schedule. You're right. It doesn't make any sense. People buy digital books and comics now all over the place. They don't have to walk into a room and read with 20 people around them. So like it has to be something creative. Maybe they just had a good idea. I don't know. I still get excited when I think of Jason Reitman, who said he's glad COVID delayed Ghostbusters Afterlife because he has ideas for more movies, and now he can put seeds of those in Afterlife that wouldn't have been there if it had just come out in July like he originally wanted. So
imagine if they let people actually like flesh out their ideas.
I know, right? Imagine if they didn't rush stuff.
Yeah. We have a release date. Why?
It could be like a double-sided sword, because it's like, well, we have time now to change our product, because I think there's some hypothesis on Wonder Woman that like the end scene was like, oh, they changed that because they knew it wasn't going to come out till like December, because it's kind of like a Christmas scene, and like the whole thing has a like 4th of July feel, which was when it was supposed to release. I don't know how true that is, but like I kind of don't know how I feel about like, yeah, they could have that time to fix something and it becomes amazing, or we lose what would have been amazing. I don't know. That's like a hypothetical that you just can't prove unless we create some kind of time travel device or find the world between worlds and go back and find out.
Yeah. Well, I think you mentioned Wonder Woman. If I remember right, months and months ago, I read that Patty Jenkins wanted Wonder Woman 3 to take place during the pandemic.
Really?
Yeah, like she had story ideas like back in the summer where she's like, because Wonder Woman 3 was always going to be modern. It wasn't going to be a period piece.
Right.
And then at some point this year, she got ideas to throw the pandemic in there.
Is she still going to do Wonder Woman 3 now that she's also got Rogue Squadron?
Her and Gal Gadot signed on for Wonder Woman 3.
Great.
Yeah, and they're fast tracking it too. Well, anyway, 2021 is upon us. We all hope that you guys have a very healthy and safe new year, prosperous as well. We hope it is, for most of you, better than 2021. For most of the world, we hope it's better than 2020. We hope 2021 is the best year of your lives.
I hope it's like the 21st best year of my life, and each one after keeps getting better.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't want to peak this early.
Yeah.
Well, no, but then next year, yeah, that's... Anyway. I'm James, he's Brock, and the other guy in plaid is Andrew Fantasia. Any last words you guys have for today's Unleashed?
Avar Chris is going to be cool.
Oh, yeah. And...
What's the Wookiee's name again? It's
Bob something. His name, his first name
palindrome.
His last name is his first name backwards. Chubabka, I don't know, something like that.
Or Alabar or something like that.
Yeah. Something like that.
All right.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's do it.
Let's do it up. We'll be here. Watch us tomorrow, January 1st, 12 p.m. Eastern time for our ranking star. It was a definitive ranking list. 60 people put their list together. 61 people put their list together. And and no one will argue about it because it is definitive and perfect. Anyway, until next year, may the force of others be with you, except for Brock because he was always scum.
Rebel scum.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.